At number 10, Chris D'Elia. Comedian Chris D'Elia isn't looking too favorable in Hollywood's eyes following the allegations against him. Reports came out last year detailing a number of encounters that Chris had with girls under the age of 18. When these encounters came to light as a result, backlash and scandal ensued, which resulted in Chris losing a lot of work. First, Chris's comedy show on Netflix was cancelled, and an episode of the Hulu show Workaholics that featured Chris as an inappropriate character was also pulled from the streaming service. What has probably hurt his career most, however, is being dropped by his agency. Reports came out that Chris was no longer being represented by the Creative Arts Agency, and he's also been dropped by his manager, 3 Arts Entertainment, and his comedy booking agent as well. Now, even if Chris were able to get someone to represent him in the industry, the fact that he's already been dropped by Netflix once leads you to believe that they probably wouldn't be open to working with him again in the future. So I think it's safe to say that your career is pretty much in the can. At number 9, Shia LaBeouf. Late last year, actor Shia LaBeouf faced severe allegations after his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs filed a lawsuit against him detailing some of the encounters that she had with him. Twigs alleged that he threatened to crash a car with her in it if she didn't profess her love for him, and claimed that he would sometimes grab her so hard that she would bruise. Even singer Sia came forward with her own allegations against the actor, saying that she too had been emotionally hurt by Shia after he tricked her into an adulterous relationship. Now on top of that, we've learned that Shia has also been losing work because of his bad attitude after allegedly being fired by Olivia Wilde from the film Don't Worry Darling. It was announced in late fall last year that Harry Styles was going to be replacing Shia in the film, and now we know that it was due to his alleged bad behavior, as people cited that Shia is, quote, not an easy guy to work with. And with all of this bad press piled up against him, as well as his bad reputation for being hard to work with, I'm sure that Netflix would not want to work with this actor. Now, before I carry on with our list, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, maybe hit that subscribe button as well to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Armie Hammer. 2021 started off with an absolutely huge Hollywood scandal. The first big entertainment news story of the year followed the downfall of actor Armie Hammer after a series of DMs were leaked that exposed his life behind closed doors. An Instagram account exposed Armie after they posted dozens of screenshots that showed the actor's conversations with various women between 2016 and 2020. The messages show Armie talking about his bedroom fantasies, including fantasies of consensual non-consent and eating his partner. As a result of this scandal, Armie's career took a serious nosedive. When the scandal first broke, Armie withdrew from an upcoming film that he was supposed to star in alongside Jennifer Lopez, and he was also dropped from the cast of an upcoming Paramount Plus project about the making of The Godfather. Armie has also been dropped by his agency and his publicist as well. Because of the aftermath of this scandal and the investigations that this led to, I don't think anybody, never mind just Netflix, would be wanting to work with this actor. It will be very difficult for him to come back from all of this. At number 7, Gina Carano. Disney was hit with a minor scandal this year, and it involved one of their newer stars, Gina Carano. Known for her role in the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, Gina became a fan favorite very quickly, that is until her tweets became an issue. This whole scandal came about after Gina tweeted a controversial message saying that being a Republican was similar to being Jewish during World War II, implying that Republicans are being persecuted in a way because of their political beliefs. This tweet angered a lot of fans, but it's not the first time that the actress had made headlines concerning her offensive tweets. She's also made anti-mask posts, and she's tweeted about the suspected voter fraud during the US presidential election. The people behind the making of The Mandalorian made the decision to fire Gina as a result, and her career was pretty much tanked. Her tweets caused her to lose a job working for one of the biggest companies in the industry, and this could affect her success in getting work from other big companies like Netflix. At number 6, Hartley Sawyer. Hartley Sawyer is one actor who might never come back to Hollywood after he got exposed for his incredibly offensive tweets back in 2020. Hartley, who was best known for having played Ralph Dibny, aka the Elongated Man on the CW's The Flash, faced a heck of a lot of backlash when many of his past tweets were brought to light. These tweets, which span as far back as 2009, highlight Hartley's poor attempts at humor, many of them including racist, sexist, homophobic, and even violent messages. These tweets were brought to light during the Black Lives Matter movement that saw a huge jump in support last summer, and as fans dug deep into many celebrities' lives, this was one of the biggest stories of a celebrity exposure to come out during that time. As a result of these offensive tweets, Hartley was fired from his role on The Flash and has been MIA from social media since issuing an apology for his actions. Because of the reputation that he has now for being offensive, combined with the fact that he's been out of Hollywood for so long, it might be safe to assume that if he does make a comeback to the industry, he probably won't be hired by anyone like Netflix. At number 5, Lea Michele. Lea Michele was exposed last year for her bad attitude, and she hasn't made a comeback since. Former Glee star Samantha Ware called the actress out for her rudeness among other negative things, and this brought on a wave of other accusations. People started coming forward to talk about their experiences working with Lea, and some recounted some instances of bullying, aggressiveness, and diva behavior. As a result, Lea lost her sponsorship with HelloFresh. In response to the allegations made against Lea, specifically for her alleged racial microaggressions and discriminatory actions, the company issued a statement saying that they would no longer be affiliated with the actress. This was just the first instance of Lea losing work over the scandal, but because there were so many horror stories that came out about her last year, producers as well as other people in the industry might now be a little hesitant to work with her because she's gained such a public reputation of being hard to work with. Since we haven't heard much from her since getting cancelled last year, we can assume that she hasn't really found much work since then, and certainly not from big companies like Netflix, because they wouldn't want to take a chance on someone who people are still kind of upset with. At number 4, Lori Loughlin. Actress Lori Loughlin has been fired by Netflix once before, so the chances of them wanting to work with her again are pretty slim. The actress faced a lot of drama last year as she was put on trial for exchanging bribes with college admissions in order to get her daughter into a good school. After pleading guilty to the charges against her, she was sent to jail to serve a 2-month sentence. Now that she's been released, she'll be hard-pressed to find work in the industry. Since the admission scandal, she's lost work, and as I mentioned, she's been dropped from the Full House reboot on Netflix, and some sources say that she's even been blacklisted from Hollywood. Whether or not this blacklisting really stands is yet to be known, but the bottom line here is that no one wants to hire her right now, especially Netflix. Being fresh out of the scandal, as she was released from jail in late December, it'll be a while before she can start finding work again. At number 3, Thora Birch. Thora Birch was once a rising star in Hollywood. From starring in Hocus Pocus to American Beauty, she was finding a lot of success in the industry, but due to a number of reported conflicts with several Hollywood executives, Thora hasn't really been finding the same level of success that she once was. Some say that she's even been blacklisted from Hollywood. Thora isn't solely to blame for her career troubles though, as it's believed that much of this has to do with Thora's father and the conflicts that he's been involved in, and had physically threatened other actors. Thora was also fired from her project Manson Girls after her father allegedly got into an argument with production. Between 2010 and 2018, Thora reportedly only booked 1 gig, and the actress has said that much of that has to do with her bad rep in the industry. She's also said that she's angered a lot of people over the years, so that could also be a reason why she's been fired from Hollywood. She isn't finding any work from big companies like Netflix, and probably won't for the foreseeable future. At number 2, Jussie Smollett. Former Empire actor Jussie Smollett found himself in a lot of trouble for a while following the scandal and subsequent backlash he faced after he was caught making false police statements about alleged hate crimes. In January 2019, Jussie claimed to have been attacked by a group of people wearing masks who put a rope around his neck and shouted an array of slurs at him. However, after a police investigation ensued, they found that the claim was fake. It was later discovered that Jussie made the whole thing up because he was unhappy with his salary from Empire and figured that he could get more after an event like the one that he fabricated. The charges laid against him for making this false report were eventually dropped, but similar charges emerged this year and Jussie was indicted. As a result of the scandal and legal issues, Jussie was promptly fired from Empire and has struggled to make things work for him in the industry since then. Some people wanted him to be blacklisted for what happened. Since then, Jussie hasn't really found much success after the scandal, and no one is really out here trying to take a chance on him over fears that he might pull a similar stunt on them, so networks like Paramount or Netflix aren't really out here trying to work with him. And finally, at number 1, Zooey Deschanel. Even though Zooey Deschanel is known to play fun, bubbly, and happy characters on TV and in films, her real-life personality is apparently far from nice. Turns out Zooey is actually pretty mean in real life, and she's hard to work with on set. People who have worked with the actress have said that she's got a really bad attitude on set, saying that she acts very stuck up and has a big ego. Others have said that she makes large demands, throws unnecessary tantrums about literally anything, and has a reputation for delaying shoots, but won't hesitate to go off on anyone else who makes demands or delays shoots. Basically, she's got a really bad attitude, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of people think that she just doesn't get cast anymore, because nobody wants to work with her. This could be a reason why networks like Netflix don't want to hire her, because they don't want to have the hassle of dealing with a celebrity who's notoriously hard to work with. At number 10, Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr had a pretty good thing going up until 2018. Prior to then, Roseanne was finding a lot of success in the Roseanne sitcom reboot on ABC and was getting ready to usher in a new season. But all of that success and hard work went out the window after the actress tweeted out an offensive tweet about Barack Obama's former senior advisor Valerie Jarrett, comparing her to an ape. As a result, Roseanne felt the wrath of Hollywood and had her show and career cancelled. Though she deleted the tweet and issued an apology for her actions, this couldn't save her career, and she's since been reportedly blacklisted from Hollywood, so networks like Netflix probably wouldn't be too jazzed about working with her. The actress tried defending her actions by claiming that she thought Valerie Jarrett was white, but that excuse didn't really go over well, and made things a little bit worse for her instead. Roseanne has also gone on to say in interviews that Hollywood shunned her because of her political beliefs. At number 9, Stacey Dash. Known for her role as Dion in the 90s film Clueless, Stacey Dash had risen to fame in the 90s, but since then she's hit rock bottom and is no longer welcome in the entertainment industry. Nowadays, the actress is known for being quite outspoken when it comes to her political views, and this is what led Hollywood to lock her out, so to speak, and she hasn't been in the acting world for quite a while. Speaking out about her take on women's rights, Black History Month, segregation, and the quote-unquote bathroom bill, the actress has proven herself to be too much for even the likes of Fox News, which she used to be a part of. With that said, she probably wouldn't be welcomed by the likes of Netflix. Stacey would often come on air of Fox News to talk about whatever issues were being discussed, but in a turn of events, Fox News let her go for having gone too far with her words, especially in reference to the abolishment of Black History Month. Some people say that her extreme beliefs are what stopped Stacey from receiving any roles, and she said that she was dropped by her agent for being too problematic. Her views on gay and trans rights, as well as her opinion on race in Hollywood, have ultimately ended her career as an actress. Now, before we continue talking about celebrities who Netflix would not want to work with, why not leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Jim Caviezel. It's not always tweets and fights that get you banned from Hollywood. The roles you play and the productions that you're part of can also take a toll on your career, and this is what happened with actor Jim Caviezel, prompting Hollywood to shut him out as a result. Coming from some minor success in the 90s, Jim's defining moment came when he played Jesus Christ in Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ film. The movie itself was a financial success, but the media tore it apart, calling it too violent and very controversial. The R-rated film caught a lot of bad press and it was seen as anti-Semitic, and those who worked on the film had a hard time shaking that label, especially Jim. Apparently, before filming began, Mel Gibson warned Jim that he could potentially get shunned from Hollywood for this film, but he went ahead anyway, which, looking back on it now, probably wasn't the best career choice. Jim says that he has no regrets starring in the film, but he's no longer welcome in Hollywood, and as a result probably wouldn't be hired by anyone like Netflix. At number 7, Mel Gibson. Speaking of the Passion of the Christ though, Mel Gibson is someone who is notoriously hated in Hollywood for quite a number of reasons. He's no longer considered for any Hollywood roles and only seems to make an entrance into the industry when directing, since other studios don't want to work with him. He's been the subject of a number of controversies, from that of the Passion of the Christ for being anti-Semitic, to career-damaging freakouts, driving under the influence, and a number of people coming forward to discuss Mel's racist and anti-Semitic views. Though he continues to get cancelled in Hollywood, he attempts to make a return every so often, but again, only through his own work. He's been facing controversy for decades, and no one has really forgiven him, and he remains banned in Hollywood and essentially banned from all other media networks. At number 6, Ellen. After the insane year Ellen had last year, she came out of it with a pretty tarnished reputation. Because of the allegations made against her of poor workplace environment, including bullying and racial microaggressions, very few people trust or even want to work with her anymore, and I would imagine that also includes companies like Netflix. Though she did issue some apologies for some of her actions, it didn't seem to be enough, and her actions have left a bad taste. As a result of the scandal that unfolded, Ellen lost sponsors, guests, and audience members from her own show. This pretty much shows that the industry is starting to pull away from her because no one really wants to get close to her. If she was in better standings in the industry, she could have struck a deal with Netflix to keep her career afloat, but it doesn't look like that would happen. At number 5, Marilyn Manson. Singer Marilyn Manson faced a humongous scandal this year after actress Evan Rachel Wood came forward in February this year, naming Manson as the person who caused her mental, physical, and emotional distress while in a relationship. She released a statement to her Instagram calling Manson out and also saying that she was, quote, brainwashed and manipulated into submission by him. In the past, Manson has faced similar accusations, but this one from Evan was the one to end his career. As a result of this, the singer was dropped by his manager and record label, and they were also called out for having enabled him the whole time this abuse was going on, and for trying to cover these scandals up in the past. Because of all this bad press and his severely tarnished reputation, I couldn't imagine anyone in Hollywood wanting to work with him. Lately, Netflix has been doing documentaries on singers and their lives, but Manson is certainly one star that they would not want to talk about. At number 4, Chris Harrison. The Bachelor/Bachelorette is one of the hottest reality shows on the planet. The show's host, Chris Harrison, has been with the show since 2002, but his time with Bachelor Nation has come to an end after a scandal that completely ended his hosting career. After old photos resurfaced of one of the Bachelor contestants at an antebellum-themed sorority party, as well as Confederate TikToks, there was a call to seek accountability from said contestant. When asked about it in an interview, Chris went on to seemingly defend this contestant when he said, quote, "We all need to have a little grace, a little understanding, a little compassion. Because I've seen some stuff online, this judge, jury, executioner thing, I haven't heard Rachel speak on this yet. Until I actually hear this woman have a chance to speak, who am I to say any of this?" End quote. People found his comments to be offensive and insensitive, saying that he was too quick to defend this contestant's actions. After all this drama, it was announced that he was leaving the show, and he's not been welcomed back. Maybe if things were different, Chris could have found a job working as a host for one of Netflix's many dating reality shows, but instead this scandal ruined his chances. At number 3, James Franco. Back in 2014, actor James Franco got into a scandal after he tried sliding into a fan's DMs, only to find out that she was actually 17 years old. This happened when James met a girl visiting New York City as an early 18th birthday present. James met her at an autograph signing outside of one of his Broadway shows. The two took pictures together and she tagged him, which obviously led to him finding her Instagram and DMing her. The two talked for a bit, and the fan even asked to see his ID to make sure it was really him. After their conversation continued, James asked for her number, her age, her relationship status, and whether or not he should have booked a hotel room for the both of them. Luckily, nothing ever ended up happening between them, but the fan ended up exposing their conversation online, and James faced mild backlash. After that and some other scandals he's been in, a lot of people don't want to work with James, and that could potentially include companies like Netflix as well. At number 2, Bella Thorne. Bella Thorne is no stranger to bad press. She's been facing backlash since she was a Disney star, and really things have just escalated since then. Because she's viewed by many as a problematic celebrity, Hollywood, specifically companies like Netflix, may be hesitant to hire her for upcoming projects just because of how people view her. In the last year or so, Bella has been in the news for a number of scandals. Bella has faced backlash for her OnlyFans scam, where she scammed her fans into paying upwards of $200 for content that they weren't happy with, and it even prompted a company policy change that affected other creators on the platform. She was also involved in some Twitter beef with her ex Tana Mojo because she released a diss track about her, and earlier this year, Bella faced even more backlash as she publicly defended Armie Hammer and the whole scandal that the actor was caught in. Bella has a way of rubbing people the wrong way, and since she's faced so much backlash just in the last year alone, I feel like Netflix might pass her over for a little while. And finally, at number 1, Tyra Banks. Tyra Banks is actually a lot more controversial than you might think. Not too long ago, she faced backlash for her time on America's Next Top Model. Old photos and episodes re-emerged, which showed the types of photos that contestants were forced to take, including ones with the models in blackface. This made people take another look at the show's past, and it dug up more dirt on the way that Tyra used to treat her contestants as well. For a long time after the show, past contestants have been outspoken about the way that they were treated on the show and how their narratives were spun to make them look more susceptible to hate. Not too long ago, one of the models from Cycle 6, Lisa D'Amato, called Tyra out for how she used her past traumas against her and how she endured verbal, mental, and physical turmoil while working with Tyra. Now that all this has come out about her past, Hollywood might be staying away from Tyra, and her latest gig of hosting Dancing with the Stars might be all she's got to hold on to now that the world knows about what she's like behind the scenes, and since no one else will work with her. Maybe she could have started another fashion-related show on Netflix, but because of her reputation, the network probably would have passed on that. At number 10, Bella Thorne. If there's one thing that Disney hates, it's when people talk badly about them. They like keeping their brand as clean, drama-free, and family-friendly as possible, so when people, especially their former stars, come out with their stories about working with Disney, and having negative attention thrown their way, Disney does the best they can to shut that person out and cut ties to save them the drama. This is the case for Bella Thorne, as she's done multiple interviews talking about her bad experience working for Disney, which, as you could imagine, hasn't made the company very happy. Bella has told sources about how they used to force her to speak in a higher pitched voice to seem more cute and wholesome, and she caused a scandal among executives when she was a young teenager because she was photographed in a bikini and Disney wanted to fire her for it. Disney has kept their distance from Bella since she left the company to pursue more mature roles, and now there is no chance that they will ever hire her back.
And at number 9, Edward Norton. Edward Norton is a very talented actor, but he is difficult to work with. Disney learned this for themselves after they cast Norton in The Incredible Hulk. After shooting that movie, he was not asked to return for any sequels because he was such a pain on set. And Disney has a reputation for not putting up with any entitled actors, so if the studio senses any unprofessionalism, they will cut an actor very quickly, which is exactly what happened to Norton. And they replaced Norton with Mark Ruffalo in the Avengers franchise. Since then, he has not appeared in any Disney movies, and I wouldn't assume that will change.
At number 8, Lindsay Lohan. There have been a number of former child stars that the media have dubbed a child star gone bad, and the majority of them being former Disney stars. One of the first celebrities that you might think of who fits this narrative is probably Lindsay Lohan, which is why they probably would never hire her again. There was a time when Lindsay was one of the most sought after young actresses in the industry thanks to Disney. From starring in films like The Parent Trap, Freaky Friday, and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, Disney loved Lindsay, and this catapulted her career through her childhood and teenage years. But then there came a time when Lindsay sort of burned out and went down a dark path, so to speak. Soon she was in the media for misdemeanor arrests, drug charges, substance abuse, rehab, jail sentences, probation, and a number of other unfortunate happenings in her life. Since her time working for Disney, Lindsay has been in her fair share of Hollywood scandals, and as we know, Disney does not like bad press. Though she will forever be linked with the company since that's where she got her big break, they will no doubt forego hiring her for anything they are producing because of her tarnished reputation.
And at number 7, Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez might be the most famous Disney star ever, getting her start on the show Wizards of Waverly Place. She always remained very brand friendly in her years working with Disney and hardly gotten any scandals the studio would not approve of. But that all changed in 2012 when she decided to change her nice girl image and act in the movie Spring Breakers. This film was not only a flop in many ways, but it was very scandalous. She then produced the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why, another controversial show about bullying in high school and the devastating effects it can have. After shedding her perfect image, it's not likely the studio will work with her ever again.
At number 6, Jake Paul. Looking at Jake Paul now, you could honestly forget that he used to be a Disney star. I mean, you look at the guy post-boxing match, bloody and bruised, and it's hard to imagine that face on the Disney Channel. But before 2017, Jake Paul was a member of the cast of Bizaardvark until he got fired from the show. Though he was a pretty hard-working actor, something that was once his passion, he also was in the midst of running Team 10, and at this point it was still fairly new but incredibly successful. At this point in time, Jake was frequently in the news because of backyard fires, noise complaints, police calls, and just being a nuisance to his neighbors, something that they complained about often. After all of Jake's bad press, he got a call from the show's executives saying that they were going to start weaning him off the show and eventually took him off the show completely. Disney didn't need this kind of bad press from someone that the media was calling a YouTube rat. Jake didn't really seem to mind getting let go from his job since it allowed him to grow his YouTube presence even more, and I guess it worked out because now he's a really annoying boxer and I doubt Disney would ever want to hire Jake back.
Halfway at number 5, Vanessa Hudgens. Vanessa Hudgens gained notoriety from the hit Disney movie High School Musical. She was another star who stayed out of trouble and followed the rules during her time with the studio. But when she turned 18, she got into a scandal that ruined her relationship with Disney. In 2007, nude photos of Vanessa's were leaked to the public. These were photos meant for the eyes of her boyfriend at the time, Zac Efron. At that time, nobody was sympathetic about the leak. Rather, the public actually shamed her for taking the photos in the first place. At first, Disney wanted to cut her from the studio altogether, but High School Musical 3 senior year was set to film, and the franchise was so successful, they still decided to include Vanessa. However, they made her apologize for the photos first, which is so bizarre because her privacy was the thing that was violated. Since then, she hasn't appeared in any Disney movies, but has been successful in some other movies.
At number 4, Miley Cyrus. Even though so many of us loved seeing Miley Cyrus on the Disney Channel, apparently it was a nightmare for her. Over the years since leaving Disney, she has been very outspoken about her time on set, as well as how being a child star on the Disney Channel really hurt her. In interviews, she's told sources about scandals that she was a part of as a Disney star, like how she got in trouble for taking photos for a fashion publication because they weren't deemed Disney safe, and how she felt pressured to work through even the toughest moments of her life. As we know, Disney hates being seen negatively in the media, and so they pulled away from Miley, but when the 2013 Bangers era hit for Miley, they just completely banned her after that, putting an end to her time at Disney and severing all ties. I will say though, it would have been cool to see a Hannah Montana reboot, but that's probably never going to happen because Miley and Disney are at odds with each other.
And at number 3, Orlando Brown. Since starring alongside Raven-Symoné in the Disney show That's So Raven, Orlando Brown has been in a lot of trouble with the law. He's been charged on multiple crimes related to domestic violence, domestic battery, obstruction, and drug possession. After police were called during a fight with his then-girlfriend, they arrested and charged Brown, along with charging him on other crimes after they discovered illegal substances in his possession. He was also charged for burglary in 2018, and to make things even worse, he was smiling ear to ear in his mugshot, which is very unsettling. Since Orlando has been in trouble with the law and served jail time, Disney will not risk tarnishing their image by hiring him.
At number 2, Shia LaBeouf. Some Disney stars are able to continue having a pretty decent acting career even after their time working for the company has ended. Even though they might not work for Disney, sometimes these stars are able to hold their own for the most part after leaving. This was seemingly the idea for Shia LaBeouf since he continued to be able to find success in the industry since ending his role on Even Stevens, but in recent years his trouble with the law and substance abuse has called down the Disney ban hammer, and now he makes a list of those who are unwelcome at Disney and who would never be hired by the company again. Shia has had multiple run-ins with police, being arrested multiple times over the years, and one of those times resulted in a racism scandal as he hurled racially charged remarks and disrespect towards a black police officer. He also had scandals involving public intoxication and violence, and his most recent scandal involves his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs and her lawsuit against him where she alleged that he hurt her during the time that they were together. With all this bad press, Disney no doubt is wanting to scrub themselves clean of their affiliations with the actor because of his bad place in the media, and definitely don't want to think about working with him again.
And finally at number 1, Terrence Howard. If you're a fan of Rhodes/War Machine in the MCU, you know that Don Cheadle plays those roles, but he didn't always play them, and originally Terrence Howard was cast in the role. Howard acted in the first film, but then Cheadle appeared in his place in Iron Man 2, prompting the question of why. Howard addressed it in 2013 on Watch What Happens Live. Howard told Andy Cohen that when it came time to make Iron Man 2, Marvel only wanted to pay him 1/8 of what they originally owed him. Howard even reached out to Robert Downey Jr. for help, who did not offer any support. Howard wasn't okay with the lesser salary, so they booted him from the film and made Cheadle his replacement. After this debacle, I doubt he will ever work with Disney again.
Compared to his former castmates like Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, Taylor wasn't able to hold on to the success that he got from being in the Twilight movies. In fact, it was right after the series ended that Taylor's career started to fumble. Like any other actor would, he started looking for work and he was cast in a few movies. His first film after Twilight was Abduction, and unfortunately it bombed at the box office. Following that failure, he was booked in another role a few years later in the film Tracers, and that didn't do very well either. At this point, Hollywood was starting to notice this new pattern of movie failures, and it was at this point that Taylor's career started to suffer. Before I continue on with the video, I just want to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far. Thank you for your support and for helping our channel grow, we really appreciate it. The films Taylor starred in following his time in the Twilight Saga were both action films, and since they both ended up tanking and getting poor views, people started thinking that maybe Taylor just wasn't cut out for these kinds of movies. I mean, when you think about it, he became a big name actor through Twilight, and his character was essentially there for the sex appeal. He was good at looking good and being dramatic. After all, it was a teen drama film. So coming out of that and seeing him fail at being an action star, people just assumed that since Taylor was Jacob Black for so long, that he was lost in Twilight's shadow. Even though Taylor branched out from action and tried comedy, his 2016 film The Ridiculous Six failed as well, and is also one of the few films to have a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So now at this point he's failing as an actor. He's not getting booked for any new roles because of the fact that productions that he's been in have failed, and people are thinking that Taylor just can't hold his own. Taylor has said that after Twilight was over, he wanted to branch out and try different styles and genres since he'd really only been in one or two things throughout his career before then. He didn't want to become a stale actor, but unfortunately that's what he was becoming. On top of that, no one wanted to hire him because of his asking salary. Though he still saw himself as a big name actor, other executives did not, so his asking salary of $10 million per production seemed a little too steep a price point for taking a risk on Taylor. All of this was just hurting Taylor's career even more. You see, so many people are saying that Taylor needs to grow as an actor, and to do that he needs to be in a bunch more productions so that he can evolve his acting style and be able to adapt better to life outside of Twilight. He was in that franchise for so long that he's almost forgotten what else is possible for him. But on the other side of things, he isn't being given the chance to evolve and grow as an actor because Hollywood just won't give him a chance. They've seen his movies fail and they don't want to risk it again. Kristen and Robert were able to make it and grow out of Twilight and become bigger actors, so why can't Taylor? And how can he grow like his former co-stars? The answer is indie films. After Twilight ended, both Kristen and Robert dabbled in the indie film scene, and since these are out of Hollywood's reach for the most part, anything goes. These films have smaller budgets and don't have major corporations breathing down their necks, so really anything is possible on the indie scene, and things are more creatively liberating. But how does this help actors? Well, it gives them the perfect opportunities to grow. Like I mentioned, Robert and Kristen were able to shed their Twilight skins, if you will, and were able to outgrow that franchise because they took some time to act in indie films and grow as actors. Though they're still questioned about Twilight and compared to their roles from those days, they're also still cast in a lot of big Hollywood films because Hollywood knows that they're more versatile. I mean, Robert has gone from Twinkly Vampire to Batman, so success is possible. If Taylor wants to do what he said and grow as an actor, indie films are the perfect place to start. There are an array of different roles to film and so many genres to try out, and since they're independent films, there's more creative freedom and place to grow than within a big budget corporate Hollywood film. If he takes some time to grow in the indie scene, he might be Hollywood ready in a couple years, and he could very well make a comeback, even to the degree of Kristen and Robert. Right now though, it doesn't seem like he's all that interested in making his return. He's reportedly working on his relationships, his family, and himself, but maybe if he feels like he's ready to try again, we could see a second coming of Lautner. Now I want to throw it over to you guys and get your opinions in the comments. I know we haven't seen very much coming from Taylor in recent years. He's been in a few episodes of Scream Queens, but other than that, we haven't really seen much else from him. Do you guys think he can make a comeback, especially if he tries indie films like I had suggested? There have been so many other Twilight actors who were never really able to pick up on their fame since the saga ended, so do you think that Taylor can do it? I know he's had some movies tank in the past, but I don't know, I just feel like he wasn't given a fair chance. Hollywood saw him as a goldmine of potential at first, but later on when things didn't pan out, he was basically just dropped. But I feel like Robert and Kristen were given a better chance because they were slightly more famous and likable in the industry. It's all just speculation and my own opinion, but let me know your thoughts on the matter. I would personally love to see Taylor make a comeback, and not as the guy with the muscles, but in a real meaningful way, you know? Also, he could have used the Shark Boy and Lava Girl reboot to make a comeback, but he didn't. He turned it down instead. Does this mean that he's done with acting? I don't know. I think I'm just mad because he would have made that movie great, especially if he rebooted the Dream song.
To really understand where everything went wrong, let's start back at the beginning, shall we? Toby's first credited on-screen role came at the age of 15 when he was featured as a character in the sitcom called First and 10. For most of the 1990s, he picked up several smaller walk-on roles in TV shows, with his first big starring role coming in 1992 with the short-lived sitcom called Great Scott. Although even with his great start to acting, Toby never believed that he could become a professional actor. Apparently during his childhood, he even entertained the idea of becoming a chef and even wanted to enroll in a home economics class as a 6th grader. Although his mother, who once had dreams of being a professional actor, offered Toby $100 to take a drama class instead. He ended up agreeing to this, and in doing so, he decided to drop out of high school to continue acting. Thanks to some luck, talent, and his good boy appearance, Toby ended up booking a lot of roles, which is actually one of the main reasons why he just isn't booking roles anymore in his older age. As time went on, Toby's baby face and softer voice began to lose its original charm. Boyish charm, I should add, that he leaned heavily on for films such as The Cider House Rules and eventually Spider-Man. The problem is that he never changed his acting style along with his own aging process. He was still attempting to depend on that boyish charm despite looking aged out. All that did was make it very difficult for audiences to connect with him, and thus the decline began. One of his childhood friends, Leonardo DiCaprio, is a good example of someone who was on the same path, but as he aged, he took on more gritty roles to overcome that boy next door casting call. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say that he tried to take on different roles, sequels, but the reputation just didn't stick. In 1998, he starred alongside Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro for the film Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which is an absolutely wild movie about the life of Hunter S. Thompson, and you don't get grittier than that. Following this film, he displayed that he was capable of being a more universal actor, and in 2002 he landed his career-defining role when he was cast to play Peter Parker. With his intelligent demeanor, acting talent, and short stature, he was the perfect fit to bring the iconic character of Spider-Man to the big screen. With this movie coming out, Tobey was solidified as an A-lister in Hollywood, and in the opening weekend the movie brought in $110 million. So what do you do from there? Well, you sign a contract for 2 more sequels, because why not try and strike while the iron's hot? Although by 2007, when the third film rolled into theaters, his career took a drastic nosedive. The third film was heavily relying on the success of the first 2, with the second film being considered one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. Even the director Sam Raimi admitted to his shortcomings of Spider-Man 3. In 2014, during an interview with The Nerdist, he said, "Each and every one of those Spider-Man movies were pretty damn challenging, working in that big budget arena where so much is at stake with much beloved characters that Stan Lee created, and people really hold them so dear to them that you don't want to mess up, and I messed up plenty with the third Spider-Man, so people hated me for years. They still hate me for it. It's a movie that just didn't work very well. I tried to make it work but didn't really believe in all the characters, and so that can't be hidden from people who love Spider-Man. If a director doesn't love something, it's wrong of them to make it if so many other people love it." On top of that, Sony decided to scrap a potential 4th film because supposedly Sam Raimi couldn't get a script done on their timeline. That being said, all the blame shouldn't be put on Sam for the lack of work that Tobey would get. One of the real reasons that Hollywood won't hire him is scandal. In 2011, his penchant for gambling got the better of him as he was tied up in a massive illegal poker club that allegedly involved the likes of Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and DiCaprio. He was even sued for his involvement after it was revealed that the poker ringleader Bradley Ruderman had been using investor funds to play poker with. Tobey ended up settling in 2013 to avoid further litigation, and then on top of it all, he was named in Molly Bloom's scathing memoir titled Molly's Game. In the book, Molly writes about Tobey and says, "Jamie and Tobey were all in, and I wasn't sure which one I was rooting for. Jamie had almost lost his bankroll, and once he did, I wouldn't be able to let him play anymore. I liked Jamie, he was kind and generous. Tobey was the worst tipper, the best player, and the absolute worst loser, but I had to worry about my job security if he lost. I held my breath and watched Diego turn over the cards. Tobey won." Although it gets worse than just him being a sore loser or a poor tipper, he's actually a sore winner. Molly continues by saying he held a $1,000 chip in his hand. He flipped it over a couple times in his fingers. "This is yours," he said, holding it out. "Thanks, Tobey," I said, reaching my hand out. He yanked the chip back at the last second. He said, "if you do something to earn these $1,000. His voice was loud enough that some of the guys looked up to see what was happening. I laughed, trying not to show my nerves. "What do I want you to do?" he said, as if he were pondering. The whole table was watching us now. "I know," he said. "Get up on that desk and bark like a seal." I looked at him. His face was lit up like it was Christmas Eve. "Bark like a seal who wants a fish," he said. I laughed again, stalling, hoping he would play the joke out by himself and leave. "I'm not kidding. What's wrong? You too rich now? You won't bark for $1,000? Wow, you must be really rich." These are just a few of the stories that damaged his reputation, and since the release of Molly's Game, Tobey has been pretty much blacklisted from Hollywood. Megan Fox made her acting debut in the family film called Holiday in the Sun that was released in 2001. This came after numerous supporting roles in both film and television, as well as a starring role in ABC's Hope and Faith. Although without a shadow of a doubt, her breakout role as an actor was when she played Michaela Baines in the blockbuster action film called Transformers. She would then reprise her role in the sequel called Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, but incidents with director Michael Bay are what many attribute to her decline in Hollywood. Fox had signed up to reprise her role for a third movie with the Transformers franchise and even had gone to rehearsals. However, she also did an interview where she compared Michael Bay to Hitler, and he apparently was willing to forgive her, but producer Steven Spielberg wasn't so pleased. You see, after Spielberg directed the movie Schindler's List, he founded the survivors of the Show of Visual History Foundation to combat bigotry and keep alive the story of Holocaust survivors. So it's not surprising that when Fox made this comparison, he didn't take it lightly. During an interview with GQ magazine, Michael Bay responded to a question about the termination of Megan Fox from his film. He said, and I quote, "She was in a different world. On her BlackBerry, you gotta stay focused. And you know, the Hitler thing." Steven Spielberg said, "Fire her right now." Now apparently Spielberg has denied this version of the events, and Megan's representation told People magazine, "Megan Fox will not be starring in Transformers 3. It was her decision not to return. She wishes the franchise the best." Now no matter who you want to believe though, this left the the screenwriters for the film scrambling to rewrite the script given that a replacement for Fox was now required. Despite claiming to just not want to be involved with the film, Hollywood deemed Megan Fox to be too difficult to work with. Screenwriter Aaron Kruger, who was on the team for Transformers Dark of the Moon, told GQ in 2011 more issues that they had with Megan adding to this point. In that article, he's quoted as saying, "She was there for rehearsals, but she seemed like an actress who didn't want to be a part of it. She was saying she wanted to, but she wasn't acting like it." Following her comments regarding Michael Bay, 3 crew members who had also worked on the Transformers franchise released a scathing statement just trashing Megan Fox. I mean, it's far too long to read out the entire thing, but I'll give you some of the highlights. In one section they say, "Michael found this shy, inexperienced girl, plucked her out of total obscurity, thus giving her the biggest shot of any young actress's life. He told everyone around to just trust him on his choice. He granted her the starring role in Transformers, a franchise that forever changed her life. She became one of the most Googled and ogled women on earth. She was famous. She was the next Angelina Jolie. Hooray! Wait a minute, 2 of us work with Angelina. Second thought, she's no Angelina. You see, Angelina is a professional." The shade. Then in another section, these crew members start to talk about Megan's lack of interest while being on set. And who is the real Megan Fox? She is very different than the Academy nominee and winning actors we've all worked around. She's as about ungracious a person as you can ever fathom. She shows little interest in the crew members around her. We work to make her look good in every way, but she's absolutely never appreciative of anyone's hard work. Never a thank you. All the crew members have stopped saying hi to Miss Princess because she never says hello back. It gets tiring. Many think she just really hates the process of being an actress. And as a follow-up to her unceremonious departure from Transformers, Megan starred in a box office flop called Jennifer's Body. Then DC, wanting to hop on the train like Marvel with their Iron Man 1 film and Iron Man 2 film, they started using lower tier titles and released a Jonah Hex film in 2010. Millions of potential filmgoers asked the very good question of, what the hell is a Jonah Hex? Well, he's a grizzled 19th century bounty hunter with a burned face, played by Josh Brolin, while Fox played the love interest, an Old West prostitute named Lila Black. Jonah Hex proved to also be a huge box office flop, earning a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes and just $10 million at the American box office. Even Megan Fox herself realized how bad that movie was. While at WonderCon in 2016, she was answering questions about which movie she would let her kids see, and here's what Megan had to say. "Something like Jennifer's Body I'm not going to let them see for a long time. Something like Jonah Hex I'm not going to let them see ever. No one should ever see that movie." Came from herself. Now, a lot of my thoughts about why Megan wasn't being cast had a lot to do with the projects on her resume more than who she is as a person. The reality is that most actors are difficult to work with, but if they are a big star, then the whole film crew just kind of bites their tongues throughout the filming. However, Megan has noticeably made a move to other mediums. She's doing more comedy with her temporary time on the sitcom New Girl, and she was just in Machine Gun Kelly's music video. But leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on what would be a better genre for Megan Fox other than action films, because I think those days are gone now. If Steven Spielberg hates you, action films are out the window.
Katherine Heigl was introduced to the general public when she was cast as Dr. Isabel Stevens on Grey's Anatomy in 2005, and she was quickly considered the breakout character. And even though the show made her a star, it also caused her downfall. Then in 2007, she starred in rom-com hits like Knocked Up alongside Seth Rogen. Then that same year, she won an Emmy for her performance on Grey's, winning the Best Supporting Actress Drama Award. Then she starred in rom-com 27 Dresses, which was a huge box office hit. And because of all of this happening in a short time, she became a bona fide celebrity, a regular on Hollywood's sexiest lists and magazine covers. In 2008, she was even voted the most desirable woman, according to AskMen.com. That same year, she was primed to win the Emmy again for her role in Grey's, but she made one entitled move and it cost her whole career. Right before the Emmys, she pulled herself out of contention for the award, with her reason being that she didn't think her role in season 4 was, quote, given the material to warrant a win. Saying in a statement, quote, "I did not feel I was given the material this season to warrant an Emmy nomination, and in an effort to maintain the integrity of the Academy organization, I withdrew my name from contention. In addition, I did not want to potentially take away an opportunity from an actress who was given such materials." And obviously, a move like that is not only ridiculous, but also incredibly shady towards the show's creator and writer, Shonda Rhimes, as well as everyone else on the show. And Rhimes actually had a reason for not giving Heigl as much material. Apparently Heigl told her that she wanted a lighter work schedule, and the show acted accordingly. But after that, even though plenty of people absolutely hated Heigl, she still managed to book some more roles. She starred in The Ugly Truth, Killers with Ashton Kutcher, and Life as We Know It, all which had pretty good success and she was paid very well for. But the situation for Heigl went from bad to worse on March 11, 2010, when she reportedly did not show up for work on Grey's Anatomy, and Rhimes reached an agreement to immediately release Heigl from her contract. And although the show played it off as cool in the beginning, Rhimes later told Oprah Winfrey that Heigl's Emmy statement stung, saying, quote, "On some level it stung, on some level I was not surprised." Adding, quote, "When people show you who they are, believe them. I carry that with me a lot. It has served me well." Then even admitting to The Hollywood Reporter later on in 2014 that Rhimes has a, quote, "no policy." Adding, quote, "There are no Heigls on set and I don't put up with bullshit or nasty people," hinting at their feud. To make things worse, around the same time, Heigl received a Golden Raspberry Award nomination for Worst Actress. Yikes. Then 2 years later, when Heigl's career was looking really rough, she actually went back to the show and begged to get back on set and finish out Izzy's storyline, even saying that she missed the show and the work environment in general. But of course, they did not take her back after she embarrassed them like that. This is when the bad really started, and in the 2010s, whatever role she had was generally a flop. Heigl finally apologized for her Grey's snub in a 2016 interview with Howard Stern, admitting that she was embarrassed and actually approached Rhimes after it all went down to apologize, saying in the interview, quote, "I went in because I was really embarrassed, so I went to Shonda and said, 'I'm so sorry, that wasn't cool, I shouldn't have said that. And I shouldn't have said anything publicly. But at the time, I didn't think anybody would notice. I just quietly didn't submit and then it became a story. I felt like I was obligated to make a statement.'" But after some time in the dumps and showing remorse for her bad actions, it seems that Hollywood has given her another chance. This came in the form of Meghan Markle leaving Suits to get married to Prince Harry, with Heigl taking Markle's spot. Heigl was cast as Samantha Wheeler in season 8 of the hit show, saying it all happened because she was obsessed with the show, and even contacted the creator to see if there was a potential that they could collaborate. And luckily he needed someone for the show and ended up casting Heigl for the role. And when speaking about the role, she said, quote, "I am playing one of the most interesting and bad women I have the opportunity to play." But that's not all. She was also cast in Firefly Lane, a Netflix series based on the novel by Kristen Hanna. So after all the drama, it seems like she might be making a comeback once again. And all fans can hope is that she learned her lesson and will not squander the new opportunities that she has been given. So that's all for the video, guys. Let me know your thoughts on Catherine. Personally, I always loved her as an actress and liked her in the roles that she played, but when I found out later about her being like a major diva, it definitely left a bad taste, you know? But from the Suits promos that I've seen, it seems like she's settling into the role really well, and I hope she can do the show justice, because it used to be one of my favorites, to be honest. But then, honestly, in the later season, it kind of went downhill. Just the, classic story.
Too much pressure. I know that there are a lot of kids out there who dream of being the next big Hollywood star. A lot of actors begin their careers at young ages, and some of those child actors go on to be pretty big successes, but with that success comes a pretty big downside. Many former child actors have spoken out about their experiences of being in the spotlight at such a young age, and it doesn't sound like all sunshine and rainbows at all. This is one of the grievances that Tom Felton has with his career, and this could be one of the things that has held him back from the entertainment industry in later years. Tom has spoken out about the pressures of being a child actor, and a very famous one at that, since he was one of the stars of the biggest film franchises ever. Tom, when talking about his childhood, has said that he kind of resents the Harry Potter series and his part in it because he said that it robbed him of a normal childhood. That's completely understandable, since usually kids don't have to grow up in the public eye, doing interviews, press conferences, and having paparazzi breathing down their necks. When Tom was asked about how he felt about the Harry Potter series coming to an end, he seemed a little bitter towards the films when he said that he was looking forward to it all being over and to having the freedom of not starring in films anymore because he hated his fame. Saying something like that might make Hollywood a little hesitant about hiring someone who hates their craft and what comes with it. Continuing on about his feelings towards the films and the part he played in his success, Tom told the Daily Mail, quote, "One thing that people keep on saying to me is that the wealth and fame must have made up for missing out on my childhood. But the idea of money putting a price on your childhood is ridiculous. To me, fame is not a positive thing. The idea of being famous is a lot better than the reality. It's fantastic when you go to premieres and people cheer for you, but it's not real." End quote. His resentment towards everything might have hurt his career in the long run. Career change. Usually when an actor gets out of one project, they start looking for the next big thing, that next big thing normally being another show or movie. But this wasn't exactly the case with Tom Felton. When his fellow Harry Potter castmates wrapped up their time in the franchise, Daniel Radcliffe moved on to Broadway and indie films, Emma Watson went to college, became an ambassador for a number of projects, and continued acting, but for Tom Felton, his next career move after Harry Potter was moving on to music, specifically rap. Yeah. He decided to leave the world of acting behind and got into the music scene, and in 2011 he announced that he had actually signed a contract with an indie label to produce some hip-hop music. Speaking out about this new part in his life, the actor said, quote, "I was thinking of doing some N-dub style stuff. I'm looking to get into the grime rap UK scene." End quote. He continued saying that he was really doing this to change his image. This really goes hand in hand with what he said about resenting his image as an actor and everything that came with it, so again, these comments and sudden career change certainly didn't help him out in Hollywood. What really sucked about this huge career change for Tom was the fact that his music never quite took off. Some songs had hit the public circuit, but not enough to really say that he found his next career path. It hurt his career taking this leap of faith and not having it pan out in his favor. Now before we carry on talking about why Hollywood doesn't want to work with Tom Felton anymore, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. Typecasting. Because Tom Felton played the role of Draco Malfoy so well, it ended up being more of a hindrance to his career rather than an asset. Draco was pretty much an antagonist character in the Harry Potter series, and because Tom was so good at portraying a character who was mean and cold, this made Hollywood executives want to cast him in more roles similar to Draco's character. Though this could be good in some way, it also puts an actor in a box because no matter what other roles he's cast in, he's still seen as the villain. Tom Felton has spoken out on a number of occasions, saying that his natural personality is nothing like that of Draco Malfoy, so he really wanted to distance himself from playing a villain role. But again, when typecasting comes into play, it's hard to get out of that box that Hollywood has put you in. Even the first role that Tom booked right after Harry Potter ended was an antagonist character, so this really just showed the actor that he was certainly stuck within his craft. Even Harry Potter himself, Daniel Radcliffe, had a hard time booking roles after the series ended because everyone still saw him as the boy wizard, but he worked really hard to break that image and still continues to do so. Maybe if Tom Felton had done what Daniel did, then he would be more successful in Hollywood these days. Adjustment. Another reason that Hollywood might be overlooking Tom Felton for new roles could be because of the adjustment period that Tom took after wrapping on Harry Potter. Tom has opened up in the past about how it took him some time to get used to the idea of auditioning for roles again and not having them handed to him as the next installment of Harry Potter would start up pretty much right after the last one ended. He had been doing that same routine since starting his work on the films at the age of 12, and so this was a big change for him to have to seek out new work. During an interview with the Daily Mail in 2011, Tom opened up about how he had to adjust the auditioning process again, saying that things were much harder for him coming back to it after so many years. He told the publication, quote, "I'm much more nervous in auditions now than when I was 11. You take a lot of hits before you get something good. The first few were heartbreaking." End quote. The actor even went on to say that auditioning became so hard for him that he considered walking away from the business altogether. As you can imagine, auditioning is a huge part of being an actor, and so nailing an audition is really what makes or breaks one's career. Since Tom had such a hard time getting back into it, Hollywood might have seen this as a huge weakness and might not have wanted to take a chance on the actor because of it. Box office bombs. We all know by now that money is really what matters to people in the film industry. I mean, yeah, there are those few in the industry who do it all for the love of the craft, but for the most part, people are just out here trying to make the big bucks. Film executives want to hire the best people for their projects to make sure that their projects go well and are successful enough to make them lots of dough, so when things go left and films bomb at the box office, it ends up hurting a lot of people. Not only will the studio have lost a lot of money, but the actors would also be blamed for the movie not doing well because of their performance. This can cause actors to lose a lot of credibility in the industry because people rarely want to take a chance on people who might not make the contribution that they're looking for in regards to their film. This could be why Tom Felton hasn't really been hired much in Hollywood these days, because some of the films that Tom booked following the end of Harry Potter didn't really do too well. To some, Tom isn't considered a bankable actor in Hollywood because his recent films haven't brought in much money for the studio, and that's never a good thing. Being associated with so many box office bombs doesn't make a casting agent's job very easy because they can only do so much to get their client's foot in the door and in front of the director. This is why a lot of actors turn to indie films when coming out of big franchises. Actors like Daniel Radcliffe and Taylor Lautner have gone into the indie circuit after leaving their respective hit films because it's a good way to get into the industry without being pressured to make a lot of money. It's almost like building yourself and your career back from the ground up. So maybe Tom should look into this before really throwing in the towel with Hollywood. He's still a notable name, he's just gotta grind it out to get back on top and back in Hollywood's good books. Maybe we'll see this in the new year.
Starting off this countdown, we have James Van Der Beek, aka the one and only Dawson Leary. In the show, Dawson wants to become a huge director like Steven Spielberg, so he enlists his friends to help star in his productions. After the series, James went on to star in One Tree Hill, Don't Trust the Bitch in Apartment 23, CSI, Cyber, and much, much more. He even was on Dance Dancing with the Stars, where he placed 5th, which, not bad. What's more impressive is that James only had a few credits to his name when he booked his role on Dawson's Creek. He then dropped out of university, where he was studying English, to pursue his career in acting. Currently, he is voicing the character of Boris on Disney's animated series Vampirina. He currently has 6 children with his wife, Kimberly Brooke. Now, I will say he is keeping it pretty low-key with his acting, kind of, just doing it casually, as opposed to his cast members. In our 9th spot, we have Katie Holmes. Many people argue that Katie Holmes is one of the most successful actors from the cast of Dawson's. In fact, she almost passed on the role as Joey Potter. Turns out that she had a high school production at the same time as her audition for Dawson's Creek, and she refused to drop out. Thankfully, they let her send in a video self-tape for her audition, and then she got it. Since then, she has gone on to star in films such as Pieces of April, Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, Thank You for Smoking, and the horror film Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. And of course, she went on to marry Tom Cruise in 2006. And for the longest time, they were a power couple until their divorce in 2012. Katie also went on to star in the TV miniseries The Kennedys, where she plays Jackie Kennedy. And she has starred in 2 episodes of How I Met Your Mother before starring in Ray Donovan. There's many other films and shows that she's been in, like literally the list could go on and on. In our 8th spot today, we have Kerr Smith. Kerr Smith played Jack McPhee on Dawson's Creek and became one of the first gay characters to be in a series regular on a prime time drama. So that was huge for the show and him. Kerr actually attended the University of Vermont, where he got a bachelor's degree in business administration. He didn't book his first role until he was 24, so for many, he got into acting at a late age. His first gig was on As the World Turns. He was on the soap opera for a year and a half before appearing on the 2nd season of Dawson's Creek. Smith has gone on to star in Charmed, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Fosters, and most recently, Riverdale. And of course, he was in the Final Destination franchises. How can we forget? Nowadays, he also runs a holistic health and wellness business called Terra Life Wellness with his second wife, Lisa. In our 7th spot, we have Mary Beth Peil. Mary Beth is now 81 years old and she is still acting. She started acting in the 1960s and went on to play Jen Lindley's grandmother on Dawson's. Now, Mary Beth actually began acting in a number of Broadway shows. So after Dawson's Creek, she went back to Broadway. She starred in 9, Follies, and Anastasia. In fact, she earned her 2nd Tony Award nomination for Anastasia. She also went on to star in The Good Wife, The Village, and most recently, The CW's Katie Keene. In our 6th spot today, we have John Wesley Shipp. You probably know him as Mitch Leary, aka Dawson's father on Dawson's Creek. Now, John had quite a few roles under his belt before starring in Dawson's, including playing Barry Allen on the CBS The Flash. So it makes sense that after Dawson's Creek, he would continue on to have a successful career. Since then, he has starred in Teen Wolf, The Closer, One Life to Live, Supergirl, The Arrow, and now he plays Barry Allen's father, Henry Allen, on the CW's reboot of The Flash. It's kind of cool how that role kind of came full circle for him. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark today with Mary Margaret Humes. Mary played Gail Leary, Dawson's mom, on Dawson's Creek. Before her role, she had been in shows like The Dukes of Hazzard, Throwback if you know that show, and Blossom. Since Dawson's Creek, she has been in a number of TV shows and movies, but nothing super well known. I mean, she was in Grey's Anatomy, Criminal Minds, and Ghost Whisperer, but only in a single episode, never recurring characters. The main projects that she's been working on are TV movies. She's been in a lot of Hallmark movies, including Christmas in Love, Winter Love Story, A Feeling of Home, and A Valentine's Match. In our 4th spot, we have Joshua Jackson. After Dawson's Creek, Joshua Jackson went on to star in Fringe, The Affair, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Little Fires Everywhere, and Dr. Death. He also appeared in a number of movies as well, and he made an appearance on stage, performing in the productions of A Life in the Theater, Smart People, and Children of a Lesser God. He has maintained a lower profile as well compared to his colleagues, but he's still working. From 2006 to 2016, Joshua was in a relationship with Diane Kruger, but after 10 years together, the pair split. 2 years later, he began dating Joni Turner Smith, and they got married in 2019 2019, and in 2020, they welcomed their first child together. In our third spot today, we have Busy Phillips. Busy Phillips had been in Freaks and Geeks before she joined the cast of Dawson's Creek as Audrey, Joey's college roommate. After the show, she went on to land a leading role in Cougar Town and also starred in some pretty iconic movies like White Chicks, He's Just Not That Into You, The Gift, and I Feel Pretty. In fact, for Cougar Town, she won a Critics' Choice TV Award for Best Supporting Actress. Not only that, but she has starred in a number of shows like Vice Principals, American Dad, and most recently, Girls 5 Ever. In 2019, she even briefly hosted her own talk show. In 2007, Busy married Mark Silverstein, and they have 2 children together. Fun fact, her and Michelle Williams are still very close and good friends. In our second spot, we have Meredith Monroe. Meredith Monroe was actually the oldest member of the Creek crew in the show. Similar to Kurt, she had a late start to acting. She only had a couple of small roles on her resume before booking Dawson's Creek. Afterwards, she starred in a number of big TV shows like Californication, NCIS, Psych, CSI New York, Heart of Dixie, and Castle. She even had a reoccurring role on Criminal Minds. From there, she booked a role in the film The Edge of 17, which is a great coming-of-age movie if you haven't seen it. Then from 2018 to 2020, she was in 13 Reasons Why on Netflix, which is a good show also. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Michelle Williams. People say that out of everyone in Dawson's Creek, Michelle Williams went on to have the most successful career. She has starred in a number of big-name productions over the years. You got Blue Valentine, Brokeback Mountain, My Week with Marilyn, Manchester by the Sea, Shutter Island, The Greatest Showman, just to name a few. In fact, she is a Golden Globe and Emmy award-winning actor. She's also been nominated for a Tony Award and 4 Academy Awards, and several Oscar nominations. In 2004, Michelle began dating Heath Ledger, and they welcomed a daughter, Matilda, together a year later. In 2007, the pair broke off, and several months later, he sadly died from an accidental drug overdose. Nowadays, Michelle has a number of upcoming projects, including The Fabelmans, Showing Up, and Fever.